Now the man behind today's effort that led to the ouster of the now former Speaker Kevin McCarthy, Congressman Matt Gaetz, joins me live. Congressman, thanks for being with us tonight. I want to get right to the criticism, chief criticism by some of your GOP colleagues that we've been covering, that and the angle made the point that it took your aligning with Democrats and even pals of Liz Cheney and the Republican Party like Ken Buck to produce a result that as of now has no solution. So what's your response to that?
Well, the solution's quite easy. We should get to electing a new, more conservative, more trustworthy speaker immediately. And I'm calling on Patrick McHenry, who currently is the Speaker pro tem, to reconsider the decision that he just made to send everyone in Congress home for a week. This is not the time to go home for a week. We should stay and elect a new speaker. That's the path ahead. As far as the criticism that I worked with Democrats, the yellow brick road of working with Democrats was paved by Kevin McCarthy. Whether it was the debt limit deal, whether it was the continuing resolutions, this is a guy who was willing to partner with conservatives on the frivolous, right. But whenever there was a spending matter, he partnered with Democrats. That said, Speaker McCarthy's time is over. I wish him well. I have no personal animus to him. I hope he finds fruitful pastures, and I'm certain he will. But we've got a job to do here. This is about the job. This is about keeping our commitment to have single subject spending bills and an actual budget. For the first time.
Congressman, we've already established tonight that I have been doing this with all due respect, decades longer than you. Okay, you're a young guy. And so I agree with all.
I don't believe that, Laura. Did you start when you were like 3? You
right. Continuing resolutions, the budget, the spending, it's a total nightmare. But the fact of the matter is, y'all don't have the votes. You don't have the margin to get from A to B to C. And so how does this get you closer?
I categorically reject that we don't have the votes for a budget.
Hold on a second, Matt. How do you get closer to all these things that are legitimate concerns when you still have a Senate that says no can do? I mean, you got several senators who are actually completely on the other side on a lot of these issues. Right. You still have that to contend with. So how do you get to your nirvana points, which are the conservative holy grail points of governance? The way we're going.
The Senate does not control how the House approaches its spending business.
Congressman, I know you've been listening in to former Speaker McCarthy's comments. He name-checked you and said, number one, you're not a real conservative because you don't want to govern conservatively. He also said that this really was personal, intimating that you're really PO'd, that he didn't step in and put down that ethics investigation into you. And he knows it's personal, and you know it's personal. And you say?
That's totally false. I'm the most investigated man in the entire United States Congress. I've been cleared by the FBI, DOJ, the Federal Election Commission.
But you don't think that McCarthy did enough to stop this? I mean, wasn't that well known that you were mad that he didn't do enough to stop that investigation? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being mad, by the way.
I'm not. By the way, the beginning of Speaker McCarthy's comments there were lovely and nice about his past and his history. But when he says we're not conservative because we didn't vote to secure the border, I think that does merit a response. We passed a Department of Homeland Security border bill that would have required E-Verify with a host of other reforms. Then, on a continuing resolution, Kevin McCarthy wanted us to surrender every other fight. Jack Smith, weaponized government, everything else going on just to isolate the border thing. Now, I don't believe that the way conservatives get ahead is surrendering everything but the border in order to address the border. And I don't think that the way to address the border is to pass E-Verify and then say that the strong border position is the abandonment of E-Verify in a vote that occurs 14 hours later.
Well, you're not going to get the border done like the way we want to do it until you get the numbers. You're not going to get that border. You're not going to get what you want on the border. None of us are until you get the numbers in the House and you kick out some of these senators.
Well, I don't think we're going to get, frankly, Laura, I think it's worse than that. I think we're going to secure the border until we have the White House. But I also want to address this notion that we aren't conservatives, right? Because what Kevin McCarthy believes about governing is that we have to utilize these continuing resolutions. And if the continuing resolution is conservative enough, if you hang some bells and whistles on it, that really ought to pacify people who are right-leaning throughout the country. I believe that the only way to achieve programmatic reform and to put downward pressure on spending is to do what was done back in the 90s, where every individual bill is conferenced and debated and subject to amendment. And of course, you have to compromise. And of course, you have to govern. Matter of fact, just last week, I voted for 4 appropriations bills after my amendments were largely defeated by House moderates to put further pressure on spending.
That point was made, but they're making the point tonight, Congressman. We only have limited time, so if you don't mind me moving on. But we made that point about what you did last week. But look, I think the concern here is that people are seeing your fundraisers instantly going out about this. You're raising money, and it is chaos
I'm eager
right
to
now.
Address that.
And,
hold on. Let's address
is it not a
fundraising.
fundraiser? I think we have a full screen of it. Yeah. Is it a fundraiser or not? And everybody fundraises. Again, I'm not just saying. By the way, that is another criticism of what's going on.
If I can get a word in here. Yeah, if I can get a word in here. I am the only Republican in the entire United States Congress who takes no lobbyist money and no PAC money. So absolutely, I communicate daily, vigorously with regular Americans, because the only way I'm able to advance my political goals is if just regular folks give me $10, $20, $30. And so I will take no lecture from the likes of people who do 3 lobbyist fundraisers a day and trade favors in order to get cash from special interests on how I raise money. And I take deep offense to anyone who wants to criticize the mailman, the active duty service member, the grandmother who believes in me and goes to MattGaetz.com to donate. Matter of fact, I hope they do that right now, and I'm not sorry for it at all, because I won't take the lobbyist and PAC money like every other person here does.
Well, I think that's awesome that you don't. I think it's fantastic. By the way, do you plan to stay in the House? Are you planning, have you thought of running for office, like maybe the governor's race in 2026? What is your thought there?
You know what, Laura? I think I'm exactly where I need to be, doing exactly what I need to be doing. What I need to be doing is ensuring that we have, what's that?
You're not thinking about it at all? I mean, come on. You're an ambitious guy. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. But why are we playing cute here?
I'm not running for governor in 2026. I am here serving in the House in 2023 trying to get a budget. Why is it that when I'm trying to get a budget and single subject bills and a return to pre-COVID spending, all everyone's interested is in a political race that's 3 years from now? I am here doing this job. My voters elected me to do this, and that is what I have endeavored to do, at times with a very small group of people, but dedicated people, because we have to send a shockwave through Washington, D.C.
Well,
we have to change this town. We have to change the system.
Congressman, President Trump took to Truth Social this afternoon, and he said that why is it the Republicans are always fighting among themselves? Why aren't they fighting the radical left Democrats who are destroying our country? Now, I know you've had conversations with President Trump, and you intimated that he was, you understood where he was coming from, and it seemed to indicate that maybe he was in favor of what you were doing, but wasn't going to say so publicly. What can you tell us tonight, since he really is the leader of the party and you are a MAGA Republican and he's the top dog? So what do you say?
Absolutely. I support President Trump, eager to campaign with him. Probably our private conversations I'm going to keep to us, but I think I'm in pretty good stead with the former president. You'll see me on the campaign trail with him soon. And by the way, you know who you won't see on the campaign trail at a big rally? Kevin McCarthy. Because if Kevin McCarthy took the stage at a Trump rally, he would be booed off of it like Lindsey Graham.
Well, Congressman, do you think that, let's say next year, and who knows how this is all going to play out, but next year, November, whatever it is, 8th, 5th, 6th, Republicans lose the House of Representatives? Because Democrats think this is going to help them. They wanted McCarthy out. The Democrats wanted McCarthy out just as much, looks like, as you did. So let's say Republicans lose the House. Will you feel any regret for having done what you did today?
Absolutely not. I believe that we were destined to lose the House if we didn't do what we did today, because we didn't give anyone something to believe in. I've traveled all over this country, and I have seen the despondence and the sadness in conservatives who don't believe that Republicans in Congress are fighting enough for them. Half of your monologues every night are about the failures of House conservatives to really dig in and fight. You are in many ways a true north to try to help us focus on the things that matter in these contentious debates and discussions over legislation. But you know what? We're not going to lose the House. And you know why? Because Donald Trump is going to drag a bunch of people to victory who probably wouldn't have deserved it otherwise. But that's what happened in 2016. 2020 was another good year for Republicans at the congressional level. So when Trump's on the ballot, we do pretty well, and I suspect that we'll do well when he's our nominee.